Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. Oh, they're all
Good
popping in now.
afternoon.
Good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir.
Hola.
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 Oh, look.
What does that say? Oh. Yeah, it did that the other day when I was talking with, oh, who was it? Must have been Anna, I think, and I thought we were speaking Hungarian for some reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I haven't had too much time to look at your videos yet, Anna and Bettina and Esther. Mine's not there.
Oh,
But I did. Fran's been looking at them, and I've been listening, and
oh God,
I'm so intrigued so far to have a watch.
I am. Do you know what? I'm so impressed. I'm really, really impressed with the girls. Oh, like mind blowing. Like, oh my God.
It seems to be a lot of details in there. As I said, I was rushing around doing stuff before class, but Fran was looking over them, and every now and again I just look over her shoulder and like, oh, I think they're doing really well. It's cool.
Oh, mine's not details.
Oh, I haven't seen Fran's. She wasn't watching her own, of course, so I haven't seen any of Fran's. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I sent some of my students they're taking like some private classes with me and stuff as a group, and I thought it would be a good test for them because they're aiming towards becoming instructors themselves. So I thought it would be a good test for them to learn to have a little learning how to teach, have a critique on teaching kind of thing. So I sent them a video of me purposefully making several mistakes during a set of movements in the form, and then they have to send me back a corrections video teaching me how to do it correctly. So that's going to be my my homework for tomorrow, to have a look through and see what corrections I've been given. I'm excited.
Maybe they'll correct you on something you didn't know you were doing wrong.
I know. That's what I'm worried about. Maybe I'll learn something. Greg, did you get the WhatsApp?
Yes, I did.
Cool. Just checking.
Yes. I saw the responses from the other gentleman, so
Yeah.
we'll see what they have to say as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get up and do round 2 of snake hands. That'll do. Someone put a chair. I could see it in the camera. It wasn't very aesthetically pleasing. All right. No talking today. Let's get straight into training. Okay, so we'll do a few repetitions. In fact, we'll just do a very quick, less than last time, a quick little full body warm up. Like I said last time, just to get some blood pumping, and that way you'll be able to feel a lot more happening in your Qigong. And then we'll do a few repetitions of just the same level of how we were doing the Qigong last time. And then we'll get into some further details. So let's just start off with something simple. Stand in a lunge, like so. I think we did this one last time. Just a nice lunge like so. Okay, lift your hands up. Breathing in, stretching up, stretching through here, stretching through your back, chest, and then push down, fold your body down, touch the ground, drop your knee, sit your bum back, and relax back into that position, sitting on your heel, and then lift up again. In breath, Out breath, lifting up that leg, straightening that back leg if possible, feeling a bit of a stretch in this front hamstring, and then just kind of deadlifting up. In breath, out breath, drop the knee, sit back, same again. In breath. Switch sides. Same again. Lift your hands up like you're gonna kind of splash a bunch of water on your face. So just lift your hands up, just standing naturally, nothing special, just stand nice and relaxed. Lift your hands up like so, and then pull your hands back so that you're squeezing, you're keeping your spine straight, okay? So none of this happening, no pushing the chest forward or the bum out, keeping the back nice and straight, just pulling your elbows back and your palms back, okay? So not like this, but the elbows and the palms back, engaging all the rotator cuff muscles, because there are a lot of the muscles which you can quite commonly strain when throwing punches, especially when you're throwing shadow boxing punches where you're not making contact with something. So when you throw a punch out, you've got to recoil it without hitting something. So I want to make sure those muscles are all nice and warm. So we're pulling it back like that, and then holding it back and dropping the palms. So everything's still held back, and then relaxing. Okay, so lifting up, breathing in, pulling it back, keeping your back straight. Be careful not to push your chest forward like this. Keep your back straight. So all the intent is going through the scapula, pulling the scapula back into the spine, keeping your shoulders down. Be careful you're not lifting it up like this. Push your shoulders down and back. Engage all those muscles around your scapula as well as the rotator cuffs. The rotator cuffs are activated by pushing the palms back, like so. You might not get them fully back in line with your elbows. They might only be here, but so long as they're trying to push back, then the muscles are still engaging. That's what we want. Then you push it down, relax. In breath. Bit of a hiccup in the middle. That's important. And then okay, a little bit more for the legs. Let's just take a lunge to what is your comfort zone. You don't have to go as long as me. You can take just a mediocre lunge like that. Don't strain a muscle, okay? So listen to your own body. You should know your own body by now if you're training this kind of stuff. So I'm going to drop down into a nice deep lunge like so, facing the front like that. Just have a little shimmy and then push it back up, drop down. Same thing, have a little shimmy down there, just wriggle around a little bit, feel it out, stretch it out, and back up. Relax that out. Stand nice and wide. Turn one foot. Let's call it this side. Do a mirror image to me. It'll probably be easier to follow. So my right leg, your left leg is going to turn out. You're going to drop your elbow down onto your knee. Facing the front, not turning to the side, facing the front. Okay, keep your weight in your heel so there's emptiness in the ball of the foot. Lift it up, turn your foot in, turn the other foot out, elbow to knee, And again, keeping the body open. Notice how there's kind of a straight line-ish between my head, my torso, and my leg down the bottom. Lifting that up, turning that one out, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. From here, put your hands on the ground, just your fingertips for balance. Lift up onto the ball of your foot, as in this leg here on the ball of my foot. Flex that toe and just stretch into that hamstring a little bit. Just opening up through here, actively pressing into it. And then switch across to the other side. Again, hands on the ground, just to give you some balance. Standing up onto the ball of that foot and sinking down into that hamstring there, pulling the toes back. Get a nice little opening up, just getting the blood flowing again. And again, walking back. Same thing. And same again. If you're feeling comfortable with that, you can try the changeover without using your hands on the floor. Just moving your body. And then the final version, if you want to try it, is same thing, but keeping your foot flat on the floor this time. If you can see my foot there, yeah. Foot flat on the floor, take it across, foot flat on the floor. Just make sure that this knee is pointing the same direction as your toe. It's not caving in like this, for example. Okay. And then last one, for anyone who's adventurous, from that position, just sit down and let your leg fold down, and then back up, take it across, sit down, relax, drop the knee, bring it up, and back to the middle, and up. All right, a few rounds through this Qigong. Just exactly as we've done it last time. I'll give you a couple of quick little reminders of what we did last time, and then we're just going to drill it out a few times. Okay, so let's do a few mirror image ones, and then I'll do a few, while I give maybe a few reminders of the details so you can see my hands. Then we'll do a few rounds with me facing the same direction as you. Then we'll go into the accessory details, extra details. Okay, so mirror me, mirror me. Like that. So remember, there's that little, you're in an open kind of stance to begin with, okay? There's that very small sink, okay? You don't even turn all the way to the front. You're not sort of turning over here. It's just a little, there is a turning towards the front, but it's more of a sinking. Kind of feels like when a lioness is just, you know, proud, ready to pounce, that sort of sensation, okay? Then you throw your first punch out as you bring your weight forward. Remember, that's that curve punch, coming through that way, going up and around, that spiraling curve into the jaw that we talked about last time. Little bit of controlling weight goes back into the rear leg as you hammer fist across. Remember, that hammer fist is not aiming laterally 90 degrees from the front. It's aiming sort of towards your front corner. 1, 2. Little bit of weight back in that leg, but I'm still front weighted at that point. I then sit back, relax both hands. Lift that left elbow out a little bit to kind of match the other elbow. I'm in the back foot now. And now both hands together. Squeeze in. Okay? And bring the weight back into the front leg for that last move. Let's try that again. Nice big in breath and out breath. Little controlling weight back. Fully sit back as that other elbow comes out, and then squeeze through. like so. Flowingly this time. Okay, other side, switch legs, switch hands. Again, in breath as you do that little coil up, that little settling. If you're a total beginner to this, if you've never done anything like this before, you're better off learning the first time with that last one together because the difference is so subtle. And we don't want you doing something like this. Linda Berry raised her hand. Did Linda Berry raise her hand for a reason?
Not on purpose.
No, I thought so. You probably just hit a funny button or something.
The computer did it or something.
No worries. So, yeah, that movement there, like any double-handed strikes in your Taiji forms, your Bagua forms, and so on, if you are a beginner and you have not yet fully understood vertical linear power as opposed to horizontal circular power, boom, these kind of shots, okay, you need to do the hands together. The reason we strike with the hands together is to force your body to find another way to develop power, okay? If you do one hand first, naturally, the easiest way to develop power in any kind of a strike is turn your center, okay? But we're trying to teach you to learn that there's other ways of gaining power. Later on, those two components can combine to give you even more power, particularly when working over a short distance. If you have a large distance with any strike, you don't even need to think about power. Power is irrelevant when you have, I'm talking about a street fight, okay, where there's no glove involved. If you've got that much distance, let's say I've just gone bang, like hit with a front hand, right? At a full reach. So I've connected on that target there, like, so let me turn this way, you can see this wall a bit better. So let's say I've just hit someone in the face, bang, that's how far away they are, which means my second hand, see that hand, that might have only been traveling maybe about that far. So that one, whoa, yeah, I've got to think about power a bit. My second hand though, look how far that hand's going to travel. With no loading or anything, I'm not drawing my hand back. It's only drawing back enough because I'm throwing this out. I can't keep it any closer. If I want to fully reach, this hand's going to be here. Now I've got that much distance to punch over. I don't even have to consider power when it comes to this type of a strike. Because I'm not wearing a big boxing glove, of course. Obviously, if you're wearing boxing gloves, you need as much power as you possibly can muster because you've got all that padding on your hand. Empty-handed striking, from that distance, generally speaking, I don't advise to hit with full force unless you're like a real beginner and you can't get any power. But you don't want to use full force over that much distance. You probably break your hand because you're punching someone in the head. Okay, so power is irrelevant at long distance, but at close range, that's when we've got to consider it. The closer you get, the harder it is to develop a lot of force. So when you get to that close range, instead of just using twisting power or vertical spinal power, which is what we're getting from these double strikes, you're using a combination of those two things. A little bit of twist, but also a little bit of this rolling action. But obviously, you know, it's all very, very subtle and refined at the end of the day. So you get a huge amount of power over close range. So I'm getting a bit too much into the fighting realm here, but I just wanted to explain that to show you that when you strike with two hands together, you can't use your waist. You can't turn. Because as soon as you turn one direction or the other, one hand's going to go forward. If I turn to my left and try to hit with both hands together, obviously this hand is horrible. I can't hit with that hand. So when you say hit with both hands together, how am I going to get the power? You see? How am I going to get the power from that? I can't do what I'm used to doing. I'm used to throwing my waist, this kind of thing, to generate force. I'm used to doing that. So how do I get power in a movement like this? Now we start learning about the other way of gaining power. You can see it a little bit more from the side. If I'm there like so, this is how it would look with both hands exactly the same time. I'm not trying to put any subtlety of left and rights in here at this stage. Okay, I'll take the step out so that you can see it without, it's even easier to see. Okay. It's an opening and closing. It's what you've probably heard the term opening and closing if you've practiced any kind of internal martial arts. That is referring to, there are other elements of opening and closing, but the main concept of it is this. If I exaggerate, it's like like that. It's a wave that goes through the body. Okay, the body opens up like a ripple and boom, and closes. And on that closing aspect, you see it works like a whip. There's the ripple up, boom, there's the power coming out. But because the force is moving this way through the spine, I can hit with both hands, whether it be both hands up, one down, doesn't matter. I can hit with both hands at the same time. By forcing myself to hit with both hands at the same time, I'm forcing myself to learn about that power. If a beginner says, oh, well, look, I can kind of, yeah, I can get that. I can get 1 and 2, 1 and 2. Probably what you're actually doing is, you're focusing your intent on your left, right, you're twisting elements. You're not learning something new. By going, at first, it's going to go, oh, I don't feel like I can get any power. But over time, you'll learn to feel that wave, that opening of the spine. When I say open, I mean this, opening the chest, opening the front of the body, and then closing it all up on the end of the movement. But keep in mind, it's very subtle. From there, it just looks like this. You see? That's how subtle it is. Doing it slowly and subtly, it looks like this. So, open, close, vertical wave power is a lot more subtle than waist-driven force. You can see waist-driven power. You can see the waist turning, the shoulders turning. This force here, it looks like someone just goes boom and hits you with their hands, but there's a huge amount of force behind it. It's like these postures in your Taiji and Bagua forms where we squeeze the arms together. Same thing, both hands hitting at the same time. So it's a wave force rather than a centerline twisting force. So my advice is, those of you who haven't fully understood that power, you should still be doing this as hands together. Those of you who have understood that power, you're like, yep, boom, you're getting that huge power. Well, now you can start combining those powers. So therefore, from this position, the top hand does lead ever so slightly. It looks like this. But it should still be primarily the hands moving together, okay? If you separate it too much, now the focus is coming back onto that left, right, that turning action in your body. So the focus is still on this frontal wave, okay? Open, closing. But there's just this little slight opening to the left, and then a squeezing back to the right, okay? Let's just do a few more out this way with facing the same direction. Just with that in mind so it's up to you, because I don't know everyone in the class, it's up to you as to whether you do two hands together or it's always the top hand that leads on that posture. So let's try that again. In breath, sinking back, setting everything up. Out breath. Sit back, in breath, and forward, out breath. Again. As I said last week, you can either take another in-breath there on that little sit back before the final punch, palm strike, or if you feel like as we start to speed it up a little bit, you might be feeling like There's not enough time to take that in-breath. If it feels like there's not enough time to take the in-breath, don't take the in-breath. Just go in-breath at the beginning, and then just make sure that when you breathe, I'm going to go into the full breathing in a moment, but at the very least, when you breathe, 1, 2, 3, so you've got 3 components here, 3 strikes. Each of your breaths, your out breaths, there's 3 out breaths, but there's no in-breath, okay? So you've got your full in-breath, and then you've got, you see? There's 3 contractions of your body. Don't breathe like, hear the sound I'm making? That's never going to teach me how to strike. If I can make 3 distinct sounds, hear that? So even if it's very slow, it can still have that element of 3 contractions in the body. Obviously, the faster you go, the is going to become those kind of explosive, pulsating breaths. Let's try it again. Let's switch sides. Left foot forward, same thing, coil it back. See, at that speed, the first round, it was quite slow. I felt like I wanted to take that in-breath. I'm going to do it slow again, where I'll take that extra in-breath. Now I'm going to start speeding up a little bit, in which case I'm going to just breathe out where I feel like it. Okay. Yang Qigong. Going a little bit deeper into the internal side now. So we've got the physical, pretty much all the physical elements. There are a few little extra bits I'll give you. But bringing out Yang, how do we bring out Yang? Doing something really explosive, as in like just like really hitting a bag or something. Obviously doing something physically exerting, that's going to bring up a lot of Yang. But we're talking now about bringing up Yang through a slow, controlled movement. So it's a lot more focus on the energetical movement, as opposed to if you're doing bag work or something, sure, you'll still feel after hitting the bag like, yeah, come on, you feel full of Yang, so you're still all yanged up. But at the same time, you've done all that physical work. What happens if you've just broken your shoulder, or busted your thumb, or spasmed your back, or something? Okay. All you can do is soft, gentle, calming yin, 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 yin. Nothing wrong with yin. Yin is beautiful, and that's what we do on the Thursday nights. We do that opposite pole in the Chi development tools. But we don't want to be only yin. You do only this, only yang, yang, yang all the time, or only yin, yin, yin all the time. You're not going to be balanced, obviously. You've got to have a balance of yin and yang. So what we're trying to learn here is how to bring out loads of yang energy, but in a state when we're not having to do all that physical action. Okay? So of course you should do all the physical actions. You need to work on your cardiovascular system, your muscles. You need to learn how to punch, do all of that stuff as well. That's a different story. But what we're trying to learn here is that soft, almost soft yang, I guess you could call it. So how do we bring that out? Okay. Changing your breath to a reverse breath is one of the primary factors. That's main part that I need to sort of teach you, so that's what I'll go over in a minute. But I'll just explain a couple of things before we get into that breath. So comparatively, the different things you do in your body that emphasize yang compared to emphasizing yin. Okay? I'll repeat this again in the chi development class because it'll be interesting to see, because obviously some people may be only doing that one as well. These things that I'm about to tell you will bring out more yang or more yin, depending on how you do them, regardless of what you're doing. So as I mentioned in the beginning of these classes, the deadly katas, for me personally, they tend to bring out, it's like they want me to do them more yang. I could very easily change that whole thing to a really gentle yin. You feel like just snuggling up and cuddling someone kind of thing. It makes you feel totally soft and nurtured. That's what we want from the yin side. Feels like someone going, oh, it's okay, giving you a cuddle. Other times, you might need a good slap in the face to shake you out of something, right? Like my sister's very good at that. If she can see I'm having a bad time or whatever, I'm going to break down in tears, she'll just walk up to me and go, boom, and slap me across the face. Snap out of it, Eli. I'm like, whoa! Yeah, I'm good now. And then I'll get on with my day. So that's kind of like what this is for. Sometimes, whatever your problem is, you need a boost. You need a bit of yang to get you out of whatever situation you're in. Other times, you need a cuddle. Sometimes you just need someone to come and give you a cuddle. So in terms of doing something for yourself, this really gentle stuff is kind of like it's cuddling yourself kind of thing. Okay, so primary tools that we can do. Physical size is one obvious thing. As you'll notice there, when I went soft, everything went a little bit smaller. So that's one element. You don't do such big movements when you go yin. Everything becomes a little bit smaller and just more delicate. So size is a factor. The bigger you do something, it's probably more likely going to build a bit more yang compared to doing it smaller. But that's not the main thing in terms of the physical movement. The main thing is the intensity in the movement. So if you just watch my hands, for example, the whole body, these hands, what my hands are going to do, what they're going to represent, they will be representing what my whole body is doing. It's not just the hands going yin or yang. So if you look at the hands here, look at the flexion between the hands. If I do something really gentle, look at this right hand. Let's just focus on this right hand. See how it's very soft. Okay. Now watch again. I'm going to yang it up. The first thing you'll obviously see is a proper fist. Two proper fists. And then the palm strike. See that? And then it might soften off at the end. So it's the difference between going, there's a yang and a yin, compared to yang, if I'm trying to build yang, you see, more physical flexion through your palms. It's not to say it should ever be like, you know, going like this and just be rigid and tense. You've got to still maintain flow within your yang movement. So we never want to be rigid, and that goes obviously to the whole body as well. So we can build up this yang feeling. See, everything's just a little bit more puffed out. Kind of like, you know, you've just done a full body workout and all your muscles are a little bit inflated, a little bit pumped. That's kind of what it feels like. But this goes through the entire body. All your muscles are just a little bit more turned on. than if you're doing the very yin. Now the very yin, just like the very yang, should never be rigidly stiff. It can be very, very taut, but not rigid, not to that point where it's rigid. Same with the yin, the opposite applies. It can be you got to go soft, 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 but not dead, not lifeless. Should never, ever be lifeless. The activation in the core, which is what I'll be teaching you tonight as well. The activation in the core, when I'm going very slowly, you can still see, even if I'm going slowly, my belly's still compressed. Now it's relaxed, you see. Now it's engaged. Now it's flexed, engaged. So even the most yin, there's still that little bit of contraction, in the legs, in the quad, in the whole body. So there's that. Then there is the eyes. The eyes are very important as well. If I'm sitting here, trying to get low enough so that I can see, so you can see my eyes in the camera there. If I'm doing very yin, my eyes see how my eyes are gentle. They almost feel kind of like a little bit sleepy. I mean, I'm not sleepy, but it's a similar sort of softness to the eyes. Whereas when I want to bring out yang, the very first thing I do is, before I've even started the movements, open your eyes, widen your eyes. And the gaze, you don't look at something. Bringing up yang is all about getting into your reptile brain, your subconscious brain, okay? So I'm not looking at the lens going, all right, am I looking there? Am I looking there? No, I'm focusing on something. So I'm coming into a conscious state, which is not going to be fully animalistically yang. What I want to be is there. I'm letting my eyes glaze a little bit, go a little bit blurred. I'm looking in the direction, say my attacker is there, but I'm looking through them with that movement. Another way you can think about it is doing a treatment on someone. Sometimes, same with your own body, that person you're doing a treatment on might need a cuddle. They might need that yin, that gentleness. Other times it might be like, oh, I need to get a bit more in there, you know, like drive your elbow down into a glute or something like that. So when you're doing the movements, this applies to anything, your Taiji form, your Bagua form. You can think about, here, this last one's probably the best one to think about because it's kind of a palm pressing action. So you can think about that movement as being as gentle as medical Qigong. Okay? When we do medical Qigong on someone, the softest, no, I shouldn't just say it's medical Qigong, but the softest version of medical Qigong is where you barely touch the person. It's just like this, you see. But then you might go, oh, there's a big muscle knot there. I need to get in a bit deep. So then you'll push into it. But still, again, coming from the center, moving from your whole body whenever you're doing any kind of a treatment on someone. Never should it just be, you know, just this. Even if I'm sitting on the couch, massaging my wife's feet, for example, I'm not just doing this. Even if I am watching a movie, so it's like, okay, we're watching a film together or something, so I'm not like 100% in the zone in the massage. But still, there's a connection to my dantian. When I'm massaging her feet, there's still a little bit of this, very small frame, but a little bit of this going on. I'm not just sitting there going, you know, like this. It's the worst thing in the world when you're getting a massage, Thai massage or something, and she'll be going, oh yeah, da, 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 da. It's like, oh, that's nice. She's giving you a bit of a massage. And then you hear her phone go, and she'll get a text. Maybe her next client's coming in or something. She picks up her phone and she's going like this, reading and texting with one hand. I'd rather she just stops, get the text done quick, rather than just going like this, because that's just annoying. Doesn't do me any good, doesn't help me at all, and she'd get the text done quicker if she used both hands. But she feels like, oh, I can't make him think that I'm not massaging within the hour of the treatment. So that's a useless massage. You've got to connect to that person. So those are the main things that differentiate whether you're going to go super soft or yang. But then you've got the actual methods, and that's what we're learning here and on Thursday nights. So these methods, the physical movements, the way the strikes flow from one to the other, they tend to enhance yang, even though you can do them yin. And the chi development tools that we did on Thursday night, we started on Thursday night. I can do a chi development tool, watch. I can get some yang in my chi development tool. So you can do either way, but from a learning point, you will learn those better in a yin and you'll learn these better in a yang. Okay, breathing. Reverse breathing. What I need to show you now is I need to teach you about reverse breathing. Okay, I'm just going to show you what reverse breathing is to start with, just so you've got a picture in your mind as to what the hell it is. Okay, so focus on my back. When I breathe in, watch what happens to my belly, this area compared to this area. Watch what happens. Big belly inflating, ribs expanding, and then back in. Okay? Again. Now watch what happens when I do a reverse breath. See that? Not as obvious because the back doesn't move as much as the front, but I think you can see there on the video. I can certainly see it on my screen myself. You can see all of this puffing out. So I'll show that from a few different angles just so you can see what's happening. So again, natural breath. You can see that belly really expands and goes out. And then retracts in. Reverse breath. See how this pulls in when I reverse breath and then relaxes. Reverse breath. You've got to engage the core to force the air to go somewhere else. This is the loosest part of your lower torso. So if you're relaxed and you inhale and things have got to move, obviously that's going to be the bit that moves. But if I go hold it in place there, and then try to breathe out here, breathe in, the only other area can be out the back. So I've got to hold this here. You'll feel that go out the back. Okay, I'll show that from the back now. So, natural breath. See, there's still a little bit of expansion, even in the natural breath. But now here's the reverse breath. Okay. So that's the breathing we're talking about. Now, how do we make that breathing happen? You just got to pull this in. But why would you want to do that? Seems unnatural to a lot of people. The times when you want to do that is when you need to maintain pressure whilst breathing in. Let's say I'm pushing on this wall. Okay, I'm pushing. I'm trying to push a car or something, push a rock car along. My core's obviously engaged. Okay, now, come on guys. If we relax, maybe you can push on a car up a hill. If you relax for a moment, the car's going to roll back on you. Okay, so you need to keep that force going forward. Okay, I'm pushing. Now I need to breathe in at some point. I've got to breathe in. So I'm breathing in there, breathing out, breathing in. But if I breathe in and do a belly breath, all of a sudden, I can't maintain the same level of forward force because I've not engaged my core. If you're letting your belly expand, your core is not engaged. So anything where your core is engaged, you're pushing force forward, okay? And you need to take an in-breath, like maybe you're holding a plank or something. If you're holding a plank, you're going to be doing natural reverse breath instead of belly breathing. The really important aspect here is if you hold your belly in, holding it in, this should expand. The rest of it still moves, the chest still moves, and everything else still moves in the same way that the belly breath would move. You breathe here. It's not just this that moves. See, everything moves. The ribs expand, the chest expands, everything else moves, but this is where it starts. Okay, so that's natural breathing, just normal, everyday breathing. Okay, that's how we should all be breathing. So I'm going to hold this in, so the bottom bit is the bit which changes. It pushes it out to the bottom, but you're still going to get, see, there was still a little, very slight pop there and a little bit of an expansion here in my ribs. What you've got to be very careful of, because you're holding this in, the tendency is, because you don't understand this reverse breath, the tendency will be, okay, hold this in. Now I've just done a shallow breath. I've made way more space all up through here. I haven't done any reverse breathing. There's no activation up the spine, up what's called the Yang Jiao Mai meridians, which run up the back, which are the major Yang meridians, which run up your either side of your spine. So those are the meridians we're trying to activate with this reverse breath to bring up that Yang force. Okay? So if we pull this in and then breathe in, all I've done is a really poor, shallow breath. And that's what most people do because they're stressed out. Everyone's always breathing up into their chest and nothing happening down here. So that's just really unhealthy breathing that most people do, and everyone's trying to drop that breath and sink that breath. So don't allow your reverse breathing to cause that to happen. Okay, now, the core here, when you squeeze it to pull it in, don't just go, okay, now we're going to breathe, and just hold it like locked in one place, okay? It's got to be in a constant state of flux, okay? So I'm relaxed to start with. When I start to breathe, I'll just move my arm out of the way so you can see. So if I'm just relaxed, you can see the belly is naturally rounded. Okay, if I'm relaxed, because I've just had dinner, so I've got a bit of food in there, so it's going to be a little bit more stuck out than in the morning. Okay, and when I do my reverse breath, I don't go and then breathe in. No, I engage it as I breathe in. So there's me relaxed, shadowing myself. There's me relaxed, and then I'm going to go. See, so in conjunction with the inhalation, this gradually increases its squeeze as the breath gradually comes stronger and stronger, like further into the breath. Okay, so that's what we're doing when we're doing reverse breathing. If you've never done that before, it might seem a little bit like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? It's a little bit tricky. It is a slightly more advanced breathing method. The yin is much easier to get because it's just natural breathing. You want totally ordinary natural breathing when we're talking about the yin side of things, because that's the most calming way to do it. This yang side, it's a lot more difficult to get the breathing happening. So let's try that. A couple of rounds. Nothing different, just do the reverse breath. We'll do it with the slight, medium pace so that we only have to take one in breath, one out breath. Okay? So again, mirror me, mirror me. So we take the in breath. This is where we sink and do that little coiling movement. That's going to be your reverse breath, okay? Where the back inflates. So here's the big reverse breath. The out breath of a reverse breath is not really any different than a normal breath, okay? Because the out breath, you're already, you're squeezing. The only difference is your starting point. So if I do a natural breath, obviously on the in part of it, on the top of the breath, the belly is fully pushed out. So as I start to breathe out, see the core is starting to engage, to push in as I'm breathing out. On a reverse breath, that's already in. So it's already engaged. So there's still an action of squeezing. It's just not coming from here to here. It's coming from here to here. So it's a much smaller action. But what I'm saying is the physical motion of breathing out and squeezing in is the same. It's just that you're not squeezing in from a relaxed position. You're squeezing in, so it's like you're still already at 80%, and then you squeeze into that full squeeze as you breathe out. Now, you may have seen reverse breathing done slightly differently than that. That depends on how you're doing it. If you're doing static reverse breathing, just working on reverse breathing on its own, as in maybe during your standing Qigong or something like that, you would breathe in, but then when you breathe out, you relax. So you actually get your belly to go out. Not that you push it like forcefully, you simply relax your body, and in which case your belly will stick out. So your belly's out, you breathe in, squeezes in, then you just relax. Because I'm not doing anything with my forward movement. If I just relax my body from that clenched position on the in-breath, I relax, belly sticks out as you relax. Okay, but that's not going to happen here because we've done the in-breath. Then on the out-breath, you've got that squeeze, of course, because I'm doing something. Okay, so for now, when you do that out-breath, obviously your core is engaged as you're doing these movements, and hopefully you'll start to feel that that core engagement isn't just like this. It's more like this. One side's clenching, one side's expanding. It's a constant state of movement through there. I'm not going to go into that detail right now. We'll cover that in another lesson. But if you feel something like that happening, allow that to happen. So for now, I just want you to think about that reverse breath here on the inhalation. As you breathe out, give a bit of a squeeze. And then relax. Then your belly sticks out when you're finished. Okay, so have that slight yin before you reset and do the movement again. One last thing I'll show you before we just drill it a little bit more. Watch when I start the technique, okay? Remember what I said earlier about the inhalation. You pull this in, you'll feel the lower back expand, okay? But at the I don't know, maybe at about 70 to 80% of that inhalation, you'll start to feel the upper rib, the ribs expanding out this way. And the very last little 5 or 10%, it's just that much. Nothing, don't physically lift your chest up like this. You'll just feel this, just that much. You'll feel this tiny little lift in the top of your chest at the top of the movement. That's where you will feel to shoot your punch off, that first punch. So you get from here, in breath. See, because that, by squeezing here and expanding the back, it actually causes you to very tiny, minute movement, but slightly close. Okay? So if I show it, it just looks like this. See? There to there. It's extremely subtle. These kind of things cannot be exaggerated. I mean, I can just go, it's kind of like this. But what I mean is when practicing the movement, you should never go, I'll do it several rounds and exaggerate it. No, you're just training the wrong stuff. You're not doing the right movement. It cannot be exaggerated. Okay? So, feel that curvature up your spine, that inflation out the back. But then when you feel this and this happen, that's like ding, whoa! That's when you throw your punch. When you feel that, that's like it's ready to go. Because then your body's done that tiny little opening. So then when you throw the punch out, you can get that closing on the end of the movement. So I'll just do it again, see if you can see what's happening there. The punch starts at the end of the in-breath. Okay? I might have given you a bump steer before then. I said you feel that, then throw the punch. The punch, the opening movement is the start of the punch. Okay? So instead of thinking, see, there's nothing happening. There's no punching intent. I've just opened and I'm still here. What I want to feel is, see there? With that last little pop, you can see I've already started engaging my leg. I've started pushing a little bit. I'm starting to throw the punch. Because when you throw a punch, your body opens and closes. It doesn't open, then you throw the punch. The punch, there's the start of the punch. The body's opening, and then the body's closing. So with this Qigong, we get, see there's the top of the breath. The out breath starts kind of on the closing component of the punch. And then again, there's your little in-breath, because there's another little opening there. And back down. Of course, as I said, if you were doing it faster, you wouldn't do that in-breath, in which case you would just get but the opening moment can still happen in the little, there's like a little float between those two out breaths. Even though you're not inhaling, there's still that little, you see? There's still that moment of coil back into that opening aspect of the movement. So regardless of whether you are actually taking an in-breath or just between that double out-breath segment, that's when the body kind of recharges before the next movement. Okay, let's try that. In-breath. Start the punch just on the end of that breath and breathe in. Breathe out. Again, and then relax. Relax everything at the end of that move whilst you settle back into your ready position. Again, in-breath. Relax. There's an in-breath and an out-breath as I sit back and resettle my body. And then another in-breath. The in-breath on the settling part, do that just as a natural breath, normal belly out, relaxing breath. Now we do our next reverse breath. Let's do it just a little bit quicker so that you don't feel like you want to take that, that second in-breath. Again. Let's go other side. And do just a few more facing you again, so you can maybe see some of that intent coming out when we do the movement. So do it as a mirror, is usually the best way. Other side. All right. Okay, so as usual, I have not gotten through everything in that first kata yet, in those first two classes. I hope you're enjoying the details, because it's my hope, as I've said, I sort of set a general guideline that this will take 2 classes per kata. I might do a 3rd class on this first one to really make sure that's settled in, because there's still a few more details that I need to share with you. And also just a bit more time getting used to it. But you will find then, as we move into the later ones, for example, I don't know, number 4, we might be able to just do 1 class on that, because it's very simple. It's sort of as short as this one. It's a very simple one, but you will have already done 1, 2, and 3. The body mechanics, the general, I mean, not the techniques like, oh, you've got to put your hand here or put your hand here. Obviously, that element of the body mechanics is different for everyone, because the techniques are different. But what I mean is all this, everything I've taught you about the internal elements, the breathing, the contractions in the body, the squeezing of the hands, all of this connection to the breath, all of those elements will, of course, parry forward into all of the others. So what you'll find is, if you're doing, I don't know, say, which one is it? I think it's number 10 is a really complex one. That'll take us to, just to get through the complexity of where to put your hands. It's a complex movement. Whereas number 4, physically, that's it. Block down, strike up, strike down. That's the technique. So yeah, it's a lovely flow and it's a beautiful Qigong, but we'll probably get through that quicker. So we may still finish the whole lot within the 6 months, but I'd much rather, I hope you all agree, but I'd much rather go through and make sure that when I feel like I've given you what you need to be able to practice those, then we'll move on to the next one, rather than just being like, right, that's done, finished, let's go on to the next one. And then you'll kind of still feel like, oh, hang on, I'm not finished that, and I'm going on to this one. And yeah, you won't learn as much. So yeah, I think next week I will finalize this number 1 kata. Give you just those last couple of details and just drill it over, let it settle in, and then the following week we'll start number 2. How does everyone feel about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah?
I have a question.
Go for it.
You had said that at the very end of snake hands, you release the belly to start over again. If you're going to take 2 breaths during snake hands, do you release the belly between the first posture and the second posture?
No. because that's
Right.
all during the Qigong. Yeah, so that'd be all whilst you're doing the stuff, all reverse breathing. But at the end, I'm done now. The guy's dead. You can relax and, walk home. So then it's back to normal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah?
Um,
Where did that come from? Oh, up there.
Linda.
We can only see your forehead, Linda.
Well, that's fixable. There we go.
There we go.
I was standing up, so things had to be positioned different.
Yeah, okay.
You still do the kind of when you're doing the release, the second and third strike, particularly the third strike, when you're coming out with the two hands.
Yeah.
You're still going to do the kind of open, close, do your spine type of thing, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the the first two methods, so the two punches, right? The curve punch and the hammer fist, they are primarily waist-driven twisting power.
Right.
With time and with practice, you will get a little bit, a small percentage of opening and closing within that.
I see.
The last technique is dominantly this vertical opening and closing, and with time and practice, a little bit of that twisting will filter in. So it depends on the technique you're doing. Some techniques, I don't think there's any techniques which are literally like only one. Usually there's always a little bit of the other, because the whole point is it creates a spiral. When you move this way and this way at the same time, it creates a spiral, and that's what Taiji is all about, is creating spirals through our body. But yeah, the percentage of the spiral is not always 50-50. So the horizontal compared to vertical, sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's, more of one or more of the other.
Right. And the spiral, as it happens, reaches out and disrupts the other person's energy.
Yeah, exactly. By breaking his throat. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. And I will see you, hopefully, Thursday night. I'm going to have a quick read through. There's some comments here. So if the people who have made comments that didn't have speakers on, I'm just going to have a quick read of those and then I'll answer them. But anyone else who doesn't want to sit here for another 5 minutes, if you've got to go to bed, I'll say good night now. And I will see you either on Thursday night or tomorrow. Those of you who follow my usual classes, tomorrow morning we've got Taiji Flow class and all of that. So you should know what's on. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Right, what have we got here? Hello, Clara. Are you going to bed now? All right, good stuff. There's no actual questions there. Just if anyone read those, just a few comments and interesting things to see, but yeah, no actual questions to answer.
No. How old is she, Ellie?
Clara is 6.
6?
Yep.
I remember when she was.
Oh, that's right. You came. Were
I
you at
was
the
there
camp where
right.
Fran was pregnant, or where she was like 6 months old?
No, she was 6 months old.
Yeah, you were at the second one. Yeah.
In
In Malta.
Malta.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I will see you all next week. Have a lovely evening. I'm going to go put these kids to bed. See you later.
Thank you.